we are sticking with the NBA. It is getting hot and heavy as we get nearer to the playoffs. And, of course, getting nearer to the playoffs and nearer to the end of the regular season means that it is time for regular season awards. And, Rob, I got my ballot, MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, all the, postseason awards, all NBA teams, things like that. Got my ballot earlier in the week. Haven't looked at it yet, just except to see when it was due. It's due April 11th. So we almost have close to 2 weeks. And I'm taking my time. And I'm letting this thing play out. I think this is an incredibly close race because there's only one team running away from everybody, and that's the Suns. And there's question as to whose team is that? Who's the best player?
But that happens often, Chris, where it'll split the vote between those two. That was Shaq and Kobe went through that.
They got one each, Rob.
Right.
Each one has one MVP.
Think about all those great years and what the Lakers were able to do because one negates the other. And then usually
Durant
somebody on another team. Yep.
Right, Durant and Steph. When there's a question as to whose team it is or who's the better player, or maybe you think it's one guy's team, but the other guy's really the better player, like Steph and KD, it does split the vote and just takes away from one of the players. And so that's the deal with Phoenix. So I don't think Devin Booker is a serious candidate. He'll be on my top 5 because you vote for 5 people, but he won't. I don't think he'll win it. I don't think he has much of a chance to win it. But, I mean, Giannis, Embiid, I think Luka's in there. Not going to win it, but certainly playing well. Jokic, of course. It's close with a lot of these guys. And I've been with Embiid for lately, Rob. Last, few maybe month or so, I've been thinking Embiid.
But you're moving off of him, huh?
Yeah. And I'm not writing it in stone. I mean, it's going to be hard, I think, to get Giannis off there right now. But I'll probably vote next Saturday, and the votes are due Monday. But right now, Rob, I think it's the numbers between Embiid and Giannis are virtually identical. But both of them are basically at 30 points a game, 11 rebounds. Giannis has an edge in assists. Embiid has an edge in 3-point percentage, which is big because he's a good 3-point shooter. They get to the foul line, both of them 11.5 times. They're the top 2 in the league at that. Their PERs are very close, both of them around 31. Defensively, they're 2 of the best in the league. Embiid, I think, slightly has a higher defensive rating, but I'd say Giannis is the better defender, although they're close. They're both great. But, Rob, these last 2 games, I can't deny it because they were huge games. So Milwaukee, we know they played Philly and Brooklyn the last 2 games. Those are arguably the 2 best teams in the East outside of Milwaukee. And Giannis just, not only does he average 42, 14, 6 assists on 67% shooting, Rob.
Wow.
But he makes the game-winning plays. He blocks Embiid's shot at the end of the game. He drives to the hole and gets fouled last night. Hits the 2 game-winning free throws. Not to mention hitting a 3 at the end of regulation, which obviously isn't his forte. And then on top of that, Rob, Embiid, who had big games numbers-wise, but Rob, you know what a coach is going to say when Embiid gets that rebound off the Harden miss against Milwaukee. Dunk it! Right. Big fella, go up and dunk it. He rushed the layup and got it blocked. I think if he goes up to dunk, Rob, he either makes it and maybe gets fouled. He either makes it and doesn't get fouled, or he gets fouled and it forces him to miss it, but he's got a chance at 2 free throws to tie, and he's a really good free throw shooter. And then last night, Rob, 37 points in the loss to Detroit, but when it really came down to it, he had 4 points in the 4th quarter. And so I am moving Giannis ahead of Embiid right now. And let me throw these numbers quickly at you, Rob, before you go. It's close because I was watching, I got NBA TV on. The Grizzlies and the Suns are about to play. And they took a poll of, their viewers. Here's what they have. Giannis at 39% of the vote. Devin Booker at 23%. This is from viewers. Embiid at 18%. Jokic at 15%. And Jason Tatum at 6%. And Rob, we talked about the ESPN poll where most of these media members that they polled out of 100, I don't know how many have votes. But a lot of them, Rob, these young analytics guys. And they got Jokic running away with it because analytically it's great. But I just think that's a big mistake.
I think, Chris, your angst will probably be for naught. I think that your angst over those two will probably be for naught. That's my gut because of Jokic and what you just talked about.
You think Jokic is going to win it?
Yep, I do because you already said, what is it? His PER is the greatest ever?
Yep.
Like that's what they'll hang their hat on. That nobody's ever had this PER. And that's what's going to put. That's why you see like your vote. Like when looking at that ESPN poll, Chris, they look at all that stuff now, and I'm telling you,
right.
It will be. The last time I remember being in like an argument, it didn't wind up happening, but I remember when Miguel Cabrera, Chris, for the Tigers, hit for the Triple Crown, led the league in average, home runs, and RBIs. Right, that's the Triple Crown.
Right.
And they were saying he didn't deserve the MVP of the American League that year. Now, he won it, but there was a loud negative group about people who were talking about other people's war. Nobody cares about RBIs anymore. Right. Nobody cares about home. Like that's what they were saying. Like, it doesn't matter. So I really think that you're still a basketball purist and you're looking at impact. I think that Embiid will wind up probably not getting it, but he's had an unbelievable season.
Are you still with Embiid?
Yeah,
personally?
I still like him, Chris, from the standpoint of what he had to endure.
No, that's true.
About not having your number two guy. And James Harden is a Johnny-come-lately. Let's just be honest.
Right.
So I think that matters. His team, the Sixers, could have gone the other way easily. And this guy has played his butt off. I don't think he's going to win it, Chris. There might be Giannis fatigue with the younger NBA writers. Giannis fatigue. Possibly. It ain't fair, but we know it happens. We say it all the time. What year did Michael Jordan not have MVP numbers?
Right. Exactly.
What year? Because we don't know what year it was.
He could have won 10 straight.
Right, even though he didn't win every year.
Right. And see, Rob, I think because you know it, like when we look back at history and we rank players, we do our rankings of all-time players. We look at things like MVP awards and all that. And it's not the end-all be-all because Kareem has 6 and he's not, Jordan's generally viewed as the GOAT. But I think I take stuff like that into consideration, Rob, the historical precedent. Because if we were to say right now, you know what? Let's just vote for the best player now. Whoever's the best player, if he's the best player 7 straight years, fine. He wins it every year. I don't think that'd be fair to Jordan and LeBron and Kareem and because they didn't get it every year they were the best player.
No.
I don't mean the best season. If you have the best season statistically and all that, fine. But even if you don't and your team doesn't have the best record, we still recognize a Jordan or LeBron was the best player for a significant stretch of time. And they didn't get it every year.
LeBron won what, 4?
4. Yeah. He won 4 in like 5 years.
But it's been
5 or 6 years. He hadn't won one in a while. You mentioned the PR, Rob. Here's where we stand. Nikola Jokic, 32.79 or 32.8. It's the highest ever. Okay. Giannis this year, 32.5 is second highest ever. Okay. And Giannis 2 years ago was the third highest ever. Wilt has 4 and 5. Michael has 6. LeBron has 7. And here's a big thing, Rob, and a lot of people don't understand this. The PERs now can be higher because of the prevalence of the three-point shot. The three-point shot can increase your your true shooting percentage because you're hitting a shot that's worth 3 points, and you're hitting a lot more of them than these guys even took back in the day. So that's something people got to recognize, and that's one reason these PRs are higher even though Giannis didn't hit a lot of threes, obviously. But also, I just think that the record is a factor too, Rob. And that's where, and I know it's only a few games, but Philadelphia, they've lost 3 straight. They're dropping in the standings. They're now the 4th seed. And Milwaukee could be the 1st seed. They're a half game behind Miami. So that factors in as well. But, it's a close MVP rate. It's one of the closest as far as a number of people being alive that I can recall. And I think one who's not getting much love, Rob, is Luka Doncic. Who's his second best player? Spencer Dinwiddie, Jalen Brunson, and they're good players, but they're nobody's idea of a star. And yet Luka has the Dallas Mavericks in the 3rd seed in the West. And so I got to give him some love. Obviously, his numbers are through the roof. So I think he should be getting a little more consideration to be like a top 5, vote getter. But he may not even be there. But, yeah, I'm going with Giannis right now, Rob. Again, I don't see that changing, but I'm open. I'm just waiting until, Saturday to make my picks.
No, I hear you, but you do have the feeling that PER, and it might, I don't know, is it going to drop?
No, I'm with you on the analytics.
You know what I mean? Like, you just know how the younger generation of these guys, he had the highest PER of all time. Okay, that's it.
Yep.
I don't care if they're in the 6th spot. I don't. Okay.
Right. I agree. They look at that like we looked at the triple-double with Westbrook. Right. And I think it's valid that we looked at the triple-double like that. But, Rob, you remember this. You were covering the league. In the 80s and 90s, they'd have the regular MVP award, and then IBM, the computer company, would have their MVP award. And it was totally based on numbers. Totally objective, sheer numbers. And David Robinson won more of them than anybody.
Right.
More than Jordan, more than Hakeem, all that. It was David Robinson the MVP all those years? No. So you can't go by numbers. You got to watch the games. You got to look at impact and all of that. And so I think it'll be a mistake if Jokic wins. And I voted for him proudly last year. He is a tremendous player. I'll take nothing away from him. But I think this year Giannis is having a better season, a more impactful season. And I think he should be the MVP.